Webinars are all the rage these days. All the hype, all the excitement, all the time you're seeing them in your feed. Advertisers are telling you, hey, come to my webinar, come learn something, come learn something. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why people are using webinars as opposed to live video, why webinars are important, and how you can structure your webinars and the tools that you need to be able to create a webinar that you can promote your products. So because of COVID, the world has actually exponentially grown in terms of people consuming stuff online. People at home, they are not as active outdoors because of the fear of going out or because of the virus. And so people are consuming more or more open to learning stuff online, engaging more in the comment section, watching more YouTube videos, spending more time on Twitch, playing more games, and generally attending webinars or coming to webinars to learn something. My name is Burhan, and I help businesses all around the world build their audience, sell their products, and generally just make a living online. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss another video. I go live on Twitch fairly regularly on a Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. So if you have any questions, feel free to jump into my Twitch. Webinars in general have been around for a long time. They're used for a very specific reason. And so let's go into why webinars were actually created in the first place. One, webinars are actually a closed room. They're a closed sort of production. They're a closed video that is delivered live, most likely delivered live by the presenter, and it's behind some sort of a payment or behind some sort of an action that you have to take. So in order to register for a webinar, it's similar to you buying a ticket for an event or registering for a free ticket to an event or just going on Meetup and saying, hey, you're going to attend. The indication to the presenter is when you opt in, when you sign up to book a seat for the webinar. That's an indication to the presenter that, hey, people are interested in this webinar, and it also tells them how many people to expect on the webinar. The reason why it's closed, why they put it behind some sort of a thing like an opt-in or maybe even a paid webinar, is because they want to limit that audience. They only want people who are really engaged, who are really interested in the content, who are genuinely caring of improving their lives, whatever the promise is in that webinar. And so automatically you're limiting or you're cutting the audience down from basically anybody who's going to see you live either on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook to a core group of audience who are going to, one, book the time because the webinar is going to be at a specific date and time that is convenient to the presenter, that hopefully is also convenient to the audience or to you who's going to register for the webinar. Webinars have this limitation. It's only going to be available, or this live event is happening at this point. So similar to concerts, if Rihanna were to come to your city and perform, you know that she's only going to be there that night and possibly one other night if tickets are available for a second show, but that show is only available once. That creates a little bit of anticipation. It creates anxiety in people where they're going to be like, oh, I need to attend this now. I need to attend this on this specific date and time because otherwise I'm going to miss it. So you're attacking that fear of missing out thing versus going live on YouTube, for example, and then possibly having that video still available for the audience later on. But of course, you can create a limitation and you can bring that video down afterwards on YouTube, but you're not narrowing the audience down to a core group of people. Webinars are delivered in a very short space of time. Now, you may think, 45 minutes to 60 minutes to 90 minutes in some cases is not a short amount of time. But if you really think about it, right? If Rihanna was on at a concert and delivering a performance, she's only going to be on stage for probably an hour to 2 hours. It's a limited time. You don't have Rihanna on stage for 7 or 8 hours unless it's a specific event that she's going to be doing that, which is not usually the case. And so because of that short window that you have to attend, to be there live, to engage, to consume, and to participate in that event, it creates that fear of missing out, creates that anticipation for your audience. The other reason why you want to do a webinar is because now you've got this room, right? You've got this space where people are coming together and you've created this location where people can be free. You know, they lower their standards a little bit, they lower their guard down a little bit because now it's a closed room, similar to how you'd attend a Zoom meeting where it's only 50 or 100 students or 100 people in a room, or maybe it's just your family and you're being casual. You're open to receiving information in this closed group. versus just being live on the internet where there are trolls, where there are a bunch of weirdos, and also just people who are going to talk over you because there's so many people maybe in that live feed. The other thing is for webinars is when you pitch your offer, right? Doesn't matter where you pitch your offer in the webinar. Most likely it's going to be towards the latter part of your webinar. The fact that you have the ability to do that, and the fact that your software, webinar software, I'll talk about that now, has the ability to create an offer and show them that offer through either a presentation and possibly giving them a button on the screen to click to actually go to the page to buy that thing that you're trying to sell. That is not necessarily available on something like Twitch or on something like YouTube. You can put a link in the chat, but the chat's going to keep rolling and that offer is going to disappear. Generally, when you put a link on a presentation and you're showing that on your webinar, people get the spelling wrong. They don't know how to type. They don't know how to open the new tab. Technology gets in the way in that sense. Whereas if you give them a button that's static, that's showing on their page or on their phone, it's easy to click, it's visible, you're giving it to them when you're saying the offer, when you're giving the call to action. And so your ability to convert from a webinar is much higher than you would on a live stream, for example. Not impossible to convert on a live stream, but you're probably going to get a lower conversion rate on the live stream. The other reason why people use webinars a lot is because webinar software generally has the ability to retarget people. So when I talk about retargeting, there's a couple of different things. One is through email. So because people who attend the webinar, we have the ability to see who came, right? So on Eventbrite, for example, we can see who's attended if we're using the software correctly. For people who don't attend, we can send a separate email to those people, to that group of people, to say, hey, we noticed that you registered, but you didn't show up to the webinar. It's okay, I understand, life gets in the way, but hey, here's a replay because you didn't notice, because you weren't able to come to the webinar. And so that creates a much more segmented message where you're not just blanket emailing or blanket messaging a whole, everybody who registered for the webinar and assuming that they attended or they didn't attend. So you're speaking directly to their behavior and helping them out in terms of understanding their situation. The other thing is, in terms of retargeting, is through advertising, we can retarget people based on whether they came to the webinar, based on whether they missed the webinar, based on whether they clicked on the offer, came to the sales page, and maybe were considering buying. And so because of that added layer of engagement that you can have with that audience, you're able to convert maybe a few more people who maybe didn't attend the webinar or who watched the replay or who just didn't attend at all, right, from that core group who registered. And so that automatically increases your likelihood of making sales from that webinar. Anybody who registers, you're not really losing the audience in terms of that. You will be losing engagement. For people who don't show up, you do lose a certain percentage of them, but by and large, you're still able to attract them either in a future webinar or retarget them and still try to pitch the offer to them even if they didn't attend the webinar live. The other thing that's really good about webinars is the fact that webinars can be evergreen or made evergreen. So if you record the webinar in a way that people will see that it's a recording, but that the value of that recording or the value of that replay, the value of that webinar can be available to people at any time, is still of value. People may not be able to engage with you directly and you may not be able to answer their questions directly because it's a recorded version of your webinar, but they still have the benefits of the webinar and that feeling of, hey, I was able to attend. There's still benefits to having an evergreen webinar, but the structure of an evergreen webinar will be slightly different to the structure I'm going to give you in a few seconds. If this is engaging for you, if you're liking this content, remember to hit the subscribe button. I do go live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. So if you have any questions about this webinar structure, or if you're looking for more content, if you just want to say hi and say thank you, come over to my Twitch stream. I'm there pretty much every single Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. Let's get into how you would actually create your webinar. So I mentioned that there's software specifically designed to do this. So obviously Zoom now is much more popular than any other webinar software or any other meeting software that's available today. Zoom has the ability to collect registrations, collect your email address, you ask people to register, and you send them a link. Through Zoom, you can see who attended, see who didn't attend. It has all the functionality. Another one is Easy Webinar, also a paid software, very useful in terms of connecting with your email software, which I will be covering in another video. I'm going to do a deep dive into Easy Webinar and the functionality and how to actually create your webinar. So look out for that video as well. Subscribe for that video. And then another one is, which is a staple, which is actually one of the oldest webinar softwares available. GoToWebinar is a little bit more pricey than Easy Webinar. It has the ability to do all of the things. Another one is Webinar Jam, also very popular with internet marketers or online marketers or just online business owners. And they all do very much similar things in terms of integrations. The only real differences between these are price points and additional functionality. If you like the video, hit the like button. Definitely let me know in the comments what you thought about this and how are you using webinars to actually engage with your audience. So comment below and let me know why you're using webinars. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified of new videos. As I mentioned, I'll be doing other videos talking about the platforms. I'll be doing other videos to talk about the structure of what your webinar would be like, to give you more specific examples and possibly tutorials on actually how to set up a webinar from scratch. Good luck with your webinars. And if you have any questions, again, visit me on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday, where I stream live. If you have any questions or if you have anything that you need to ask me, could be related to internet marketing, digital marketing, websites, whatever the case may be, I stream there every 3 days a week. And so feel free to jump in there and just say hi if that's what you want to do. Thank you so much for watching. There are other videos over here that you can watch related to marketing, which may help you in your online marketing or online business journey. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye bye for now.